Okay, so you say the problems were just getting started for JJ. Now, did those problems have to deal with this baby that was on the way? Now, and I remember you saying something about him and Coach Rob having problems. Also, he's a senior in high school. What school did he go to?
Now, I see you have a lot of questions, and to answer all of them, for one, you got to listen to the entire story. And for two, the baby had nothing to do with these problems. You see, in a Christian household, especially where one is a preacher, having a child out of wedlock was a major issue. And she was a senior in high school. There was a lot to unpack there, but obviously her mother and preacher father were livid. They were very disappointed in her decision making and couldn't believe she would make a major mistake like that. Once they calmed down and realized that their daughter wasn't sneaking around having unsolicited sex all willy-nilly, they made a plan to make sure that their daughter and her future child would be well taken care of and loved.
So how did JJ take that?
Now, you see, that's the thing. JJ never knew all of this was going on. Like I told you, he was just more interested in experiencing this girl, man. He had no plans of calling her again, and with the initial drama from her parents, she never thought to check on JJ or even reach out. That is, until he was gone.
Well, where did he go?
So this answers your question about where he was going to high school. Now, I told you Coach Rob was going to hold him down no matter what. Obviously, JJ was a generational talent, and although Coach Rob had seen many like him coming off the coast, he always tried to save the kids by keeping them close by so he could keep an eye on them, but it never worked out the way it seemed. So this time, he wanted to do something totally different. He wanted to send JJ away. Rob had some connections with a guy in Atlanta who was on staff at Overtime Elite. Now, this was going to kill two birds with one stone for JJ as well. Not only was he going to be on the biggest stage of high school basketball, but them boys down there got a salary, with some of them making $100K a season. Not only would JJ get the bag, if he performed like Rob knew he would be walking into more money than he ever seen. Only problem was he had to teach JJ how to act outside of this environment. All the gang signs, robbing folks, all the things he wouldn't be able to do in Atlanta had to stop immediately. Of course, this was a conflict of interest for the gang and JJ, but when you know it, the guys understood that JJ had a chance to make it out and they were all for it. They even got him a gift.
A gift?
Oh yeah, they all compiled what they had and thought it would be a great idea to get JJ a car to take with him to Atlanta.
Oh, now that's nice.
Right? But unfortunately, they didn't have enough money. So, they had to do what they knew best. And let's just say they found a way to get him something. It wasn't much, but it meant a lot to JJ at the time. And of course, things can't go as smoothly as you would plan because Coach Rob saw the car and immediately told JJ, hell no. There was no way he needed a car in Atlanta because all of the transportation and housing was provided by OTE. But JJ being JJ, he wasn't going to listen. So he told the guys to ship the car to him once he got to Atlanta, and that was that. JJ was on a flight sponsored by Coach Rob to Atlanta where he was going to try out for Overtime Elite. And to speed up the story, because I know I got plenty of questions to answer, he made the team and was drafted by the Cold Hearts, where he made sure everyone knew that he was not there to make friends, but to officially take over as one of the greatest to ever walk through them doors. And boy, did he over-deliver on that. First game against the Blue Checks, and this is his debut after talking so heavily the month before, and he gets it going with a big three to start. Fighting to get to the rim and even tougher layup that goes in got these guys really believing he was who he said he was. Interesting thing is, most of these guys had either seen or heard of his games during the AAU circuit, but this was real life, and they see that three gonna fall. Another thing they got to experience up close and personal is his ability to get to that free throw line and take the tough fader. Effortlessness to go behind the back through traffic to get to his spot on the floor and make another one. He just flew so high, it was crazy. And the fact that he would do it so consistently blew the minds of not only the players but the coaches as well. And in that moment, JJ felt the stares and the disbelief of what he was doing. Things got nasty, coming downhill, showing his speed and strength, throwing it down over the top of the defender, and the crowd was turned up. They really didn't know what to expect from him. They just knew they wanted more. And that's exactly what he gave them. Smaller defender this time, a reverse dunk at the end of the third quarter. Defense was big for JJ, getting a snatch block, just taking the ball out of the air so aggressively. Then on the other end, using a floater that he had been learning since he got there to add a little finesse to the situation. Yelling on the way back down the court that this was his shit. They can't fuck with him. Just a different level of play, because after that, a quick lob turned into one of the nastiest posters. It was still an attack on the rim. Easy blow by. The boy was moving. And the first game at OTE was in the books, and everyone was walking away thinking that he definitely was who he thought he was. One of the most athletic players OTE had seen in a while. And a lot of respect was earned from the coaching staff all the way down to the players, just from seeing guys trading jerseys with him. I think they all knew he was one of the ones for sure. Jellyfan was the next victims on the list, and just looking at the way he casually gets into the post fade let me know that he didn't come to play with these boys. The fast break is always a dangerous sight, but this time JJ shows he's not selfish. Nice lob to the homie for a score. AO kicking the ball out for this wide open three-pointer, and unfortunately this was the start of the subtle gang signs showing up. But who's going to check him when he's under the rim and dunks the ball off vert with so much air under him? Get into his spot on a much taller defender, turn around to the fade was too smooth for him, and it just falls right through the net. So silky. But when he wanted to ramp it up and get aggressive, you will see plays like this. And when he's just trying things out on the court, you will see him call for the screen. Not even attack the basket, really testing the shot. A little heat check, if you will. Passing the ball to AO, he throws up a three, split decision, taking off to the rim just in case he misses. And look at the air and the stretch for the putback. It was insane. A simple pass to the corner and a quick trigger from JJ, shooting the three, and it's nothing but net. Flashes the guns. Time winding down in the third, and the size up is crucial. Looking this player right in the eyes. The stop on a diamond to the fade, cash. He wasn't done just yet. Close game in the fourth. Off the screen, the step back wasn't expected, and it sent that young man to the audience. Wide open jumper. Get it out the net. Just jogging down the court, looking to get to his specific spot, and he's up in the air, and the ball is right through the net. But the game got super close. Cold Hearts only up by 2 points. Ball is where it needs to be. The spin off the defender into a tough lay for the game, and it falls, putting the boys up by 4 points with only 20 seconds left in the game. JJ was vibing, and the game goes to the Cold Hearts. Starting the season off strong, and JJ was quickly making a name for himself all over social media and with the OTE team. And things were looking up for JJ. He was getting them checks in. The car that the gang had sent him had shipped in. He was moving throughout the city. Schoolwork was going great. The guy was on a super high. There was nothing that could bring him down. Most of all, with the hype surrounding his name and the clout he was having on social media, the girls was flocking, and he was in heaven.
Now, wait a minute. What about the preacher's daughter?
Well, around about this time, she was fully showing and super excited about the baby boy she was about to have. And I already know what you're thinking, but yes, she was trying to contact JJ, but her number was blocked on his phone, so she could never get through that way to have a private conversation. She didn't want to put him on blast on social media, but she did reach out to him in the DMs, but all those messages got sent to his request folder and not his primary folder, so he never paid attention to it. The only thing she could do, because JJ didn't have a family, was go to the only person that she knew would be able to reach him, and that was Coach Rob. Now, this also ties into the downfall of the relationship between him and JJ, because JJ already wasn't feeling the way Coach Rob was talking to him like he was his pops, so that dynamic was already shaky. But when Coach Rob got the news that JJ was about to be a father, he went off on JJ. Like, that phone call they had wasn't good, and in JJ's mind, he was not about to be told what to do. Not only that, but JJ had that car in Atlanta that Coach Rob specifically told him not to have. And that really took a conversation about a baby to a conversation about control. It was all bad, but JJ had the rest of the season to play, and he played some of the greatest basketball he ever played. He won MVP, Defensive Player of the Season, and Best Newcomer. He was the most awarded player in OTE history, and the NIL deals, along with his salary, and the endless amount of college offers was all piling up. Playoff time, first round against Rod Wave Elite. JJ getting started with a shot we're all too familiar with. Should have been an and one, but the shot still went in. Pump fake, got his man in the air, full speed to the rim, but because he could just hang in the air, he switched the shot and somehow got the lay. No screen, just all speed, and the height he got on this nasty poster sent the arena to an uproar, and JJ just egging it on, hyping up the crowd even more. Good screen from AO leads to the easy access of the spot he loved to shoot from. The down screen set up by the coaching staff gets him wide open for the three-pointer, and with that shot, he has all 11 points for the Cold Hearts, throwing the setup as well. Just taking his time, sizing up the situation. He settles for the jumper off the baseline that's nothing but net. But RWE was no slouch, and the Cold Hearts are down by 8, but that never crossed his mind, taking 2 of them to the rim for the nasty punt. Down screen gets him open. He's patient with the shot, and it luckily falls for him, putting the team down by 1 point as he quickly throws up the set. Now, you see, the argument with Coach Rob affected him more than you would think. He didn't contact Coach Rob nor the preacher's daughter this entire season, and he was battling internally about what was right and what was wrong. Having his parents taken away from him at 10 really broke who he was, and he needed therapy. He treated his court as therapy, but he never really got what was on his consciousness and subconsciousness off, and that affected his every decision and mood, whether he realized it or not. But unfortunately, the first game in an OTE playoff situation was taken by Rod Wave Elite, and JJ quickly went to the locker room to control his emotions. Now, they would go on to win that series, and they were going to advance to the next round, where they were all set to face off against the City Reapers, and they had a crazy roster. Now, it wasn't no bad blood or anything like that, but you had Amari Evans and Malik Thomas on that team, and there wasn't much chatting, because if you know Leak and Amari, they let their game do the talking. But JJ was a talker and a walker, if you know what I mean. And because JJ had took Amari's Defensive Player of the Year award and the attention Leak was getting away, you could just tell subliminally that this game was about to be more than just a championship. No, it was much deeper than that. The stage was set. No bad blood, just a lot of competition. And you could feel the aggression on the court. JJ just bullying his defender to the rim, easy lay. But Amari was on that same time and getting to the rim, just punching it down like no one was there. Then JJ loses Leak on the back door, and that's another big dunk for the City Reapers. They were starting off red hot, but JJ had to match that energy. Head down, taking Leak to the rim, and then putting him in it. From the top of the key, he was just too quick for Leak. Getting to the basket with grace, lay. Then showing Amari why he was the Defensive Player of the Year, just taking the ball off of him. Then getting down the court and laying the ball up over an outstretched hand to Leak. He was really in his bag. Another fast break at the end of the first, taking the block and still controlling his body for the floater, getting the and one, the screen, seeing the situation, knowing he had to go up strong on a taller player, punching it down. Another fast break finds him open underneath the basket where he just rises up with no thought. Another big dunk. And look at the chase down from behind Amari for the emphatic block, sending the ball to the crowd and really showing the energy he brought to this game. But the City Reapers weren't backing down. Big contact dunk from Amari in the third. Tie game. Here comes JJ. Get into that spot where the floater could just kiss right off the glass, putting them back up. The disrespect, though. Looking Leak right in his eyes on the break and pulling the three-pointer. He gets it to go, and he's pulling out the arrows and shooting them right into the crowd. He was unconscious this game. It's still a tie game because this is the last game of this series to move on to the championship, and JJ is so unfazed. Like he knows what's at stake, but the way he plays, it looks so casual. The spin to the fade belongs to him now because of how he makes it look. And that's the composure and pressure he really brought to the game that so many scouts wanted to be a part of and experience on their team. 2-1 is how the Cold Hearts would move on to the next round. Nothing but love and respect for Leak and Amari after the game. It was a hard-fought victory. It was just JJ's turn to sit at the table. Now, this championship game was getting chippy. Eli Ellis was a talker like JJ. It's just JJ was really about that life, and he was looking to silence all the Eli Ellis talks immediately. Look at the steal from Eli to his brother, right into the punch, off the fast break, setting the tone for how he was feeling. Off the screen, get into the open space on the court, easy jumper falls for him. Nothing but net. Why they had bro guarding him, I have no idea, but JJ was too strong. Getting the and one to fall, and it wasn't looking good for the Dreamers. Really just coming down the court, got the ball on the string, spin to the fade. Roscoe, you should know by now it's going in. The boys thought they caught JJ slipping, but that chase down reminded everyone of Bron versus Steph. Too much athleticism going on for a soft layup like that. But on the other end, the careless layup falls for him. But we got to give Eli some credit, because even though they were getting torched, Eli was hitting some shots. The real problem was the Dreamers' motto was they was living by the three-pointer, and JJ was making sure they died by it that night. Eli was showing a little life going into the third quarter, and JJ never underestimated his ability. He just knew he was better. Yet another block, though, and his defense really kept them at bay when they started to feel a little surge. But Ayo wasn't feeling well that night and couldn't keep up with Eli and didn't want to switch off either. But he didn't really need to when JJ was on the other end, taking what he wanted when he wanted from any spot on the floor. Even when he called for the screen, they were so afraid of his athleticism, they forgot he was really like that from the midi as well. And with that came the most dominant win OTE had ever seen in the championship Game 5 situation, and the end of the high school career of one of the most dominant OTE players to touch their court. JJ won it all. All the awards, the playoffs, the championship title was his. The title as the most dominant player was his, and the OTE organization was proud to give it to him. But after all that, the greatest title that JJ was proud of was father. After taking some time to really think about it, he wanted to be in his child's life, and he wanted to make moves to make sure that the mother of his child and his child was well taken care of, which puts him back on the coast for a baby shower that he wanted to throw, even though the preacher's daughter already had like 5 of them. This was something he wanted to do for her and really set the record straight, letting her know that he wasn't upset about her being pregnant. I don't know what type of power he had over that young lady, but she went for it again. So he took his car, some gifts he had packed up for her, and was taking her to the surprise party that the gang and Coach Rob had set up for her at the community center. But just before they could turn down that street and walk into the surprise, the cops was behind JJ and they were pulling him over.